Now we're live on the air, so now is the time to get all the swear words out now. Because, oh shoot, that was actually a couple minutes ago. Hey, how's it going, everyone? We're going to get started here in just a sec. Just making sure everything is running smoothly and sounding okay. And just a quick reminder to
Yep.
get and talk.
I do have to pick this up when I talk.
Yeah, true. All right. How's everyone going? Just getting things started in just a second, making sure we are live on Twitch and on YouTube. I do see us live on YouTube right now, and let me see if I got us up on the Twitch. Not yet. Let me refresh my screen just to see if that helps. Ah, there we go. It did. It solved all my problems. Hello, and welcome to our Update 19 preview livestream here on twitch.tv/LOTROstream and youtube.com/LordOfTheRings/live. I am LOTRO's community manager, Cordovan, and I've got a couple of guests with me here for today's livestream preview. First is Dr. Octothorpe, lead designer. What does a lead designer do?
All the things. I work with the whole design team to make sure that the every update comes out great, and dive in and build stuff when I'm needed.
All right, and then also with us making his grand video debut on the Lord of the Rings side,
Really?
Severlin.
I thought we were. Well, I guess the last talk didn't have video, so.
Yeah, right.
This is the first time I'm on video.
Yep, first time you're on video. So, all right.
The face of Severlin revealed.
So welcome. We're going to. This is a pretty casual live stream. In case you turn on the grass, what we're going to do is show some of the Update 19 content. We'll have plenty of time for your questions and answers. We'll show you a little bit about premium housing, and overall, just kind of give you a heads up as to what to expect when Update 19 releases. So we do have plenty of time to get to your questions. We'll kind of intersperse it between. Everyone can see them, hopefully, right now. So welcome. Welcome. This is our first time kind of doing this for me, so hopefully this goes well without too many technical issues. Let's get started.
Head out.
I am. Okay, first off, Update 19, March of the King. Our current release date plan is Monday, right?
17th.
We're targeting Monday. Well, stay tuned for the downtime announcement. Theoretically, something could come up. But overall, that is the plan. So, there you go. Where are we right now? We have traveled to Aragorn's Pavilion. Give us a little sense of what we're doing at this point in the story and what we might expect a little bit with Update 19.
So, Update 18 saw the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, which was sort of the massive battle in front of Minas Tirith. So we're picking up basically the day after that. Aragorn, for political reasons, has decided not to be seen going into the city. So he's set up this pavilion where he and his men are sort of making preparations for what will be a counterattack. And Update 19 covers the transition from recovering from the battle into marching off towards Mordor, which we will be making our way towards over the course of the next year.
We've been hearing a lot in social media and such. People noticed on our preview server a video that really takes us to the Black Gate. Is that where this book essentially ends?
That's a teaser that we were in some senses we were saving it for players when they get to the end of this update. We will get to the Black Gate, and we have every intention of breaking it down and crossing through it. But this update moves into and covers the stretch of North Ithilien. We'll see some of this coming up, but the key feature that players will know, Tolkien fans will know from the books of North Ithilien, is Henneth Annwn, which is the ranger hideout where Frodo, Sam, and Gollum end up, and that's going to be one of sort of like the central highlights. We knew we had big things coming, and we were super excited about them. So that video is sort of the tease that we're wrapping things up with. And if you don't like spoilers, I'd avoid that and get the satisfaction of seeing it at the end of the epic.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our intention here is to be pretty spoiler light, but of course we are showing off some things in Update 19. So if that is an issue for you, make your decisions accordingly there. But we're not going to show you, say, any of the end fights or any of the major kind of bosses. We're really just kind of giving you an introductory preview to some of this stuff. All right, so we've now teleported just slightly to a different area. This is the start of, the start of what?
This is the gates of Minas Tirith. In previous updates, we saw the giant enemy's battering ram Grand bash the gates down, not grates. Grand's been moved to the side, and there's a lot of cleanup work. There are a couple minor quests that you can do helping with the cleanup work inside the city that came out with 18.2. But the primary focus now is moving off from there. So if we can spin around, and we can see what it looks like to go. Those are some of the siege engines that we saw in some of the epic battles. And we can walk our way towards the pavilion, which looks pretty cool when you get to see it. I think it kind of shows up a little on the right. Yeah, we see it coming up there. One thing, so I don't want to spend the whole time just recounting the story, but basically there's a council that's held here that's called the Last Debate, and that's one of the first key points. And that's the decision to march. And as many of us know, that's sort of a ruse to sort of distract Sauron and get him to look that way and not in the direction of a couple small hobbits holding something precious in their hands going in a different direction.
Hobbits never have anything useful.
They're just minor characters.
Okay. All right. So here's where we
Right.
essentially.
So we see all of our
earlier.
Gandalf is Mithrandir because that's
Yep.
what they call him in Gondor.
Yep.
And we see all of our major characters kind of gathered around, getting ready for that plan. One of the things I won't say that it's not that we had fun doing it, but one of the things that we took some time and effort to do was to sort of stop and look back at the battle and mourn the dead. So there's some stop and take stock of that, and for players who are interested in this kind of thing, we go over the names. If we wanted to, we could jump into a couple moments of an instance where there's actually a memorial
Exactly. That was about
vigil.
what I was about ready to do here.
That looks back at that stuff. Sharing because we thought it was powerful and pretty. And another one of the cases where we really had the opportunity to take the time to delve in and sort of explore everything that was going on beyond the compass of the books, which is one of the things we enjoy doing the most. So there's going to be a torch you want to pick up.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. I thought the great debate was either who would win in a fight, Batman or Superman, or perhaps Star
That's
Wars
the
and
great
Star
debate.
Trek,
This
but-
is the last debate.
Oh, the last debate. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. There you go. Yeah. Awesome.
Oh. Hi, Aragorn. He shows up. So we see the living here gathered around, and we won't stay for the whole thing, but there's a really nice, basically a eulogy that gets read out for all of the names that we've come to know and have some fondness for, who fell on the battlefield. They're given all the due honors.
All right, let me go into chat, see if we have any questions here that we should answer. People are giving you credit for your good pronunciations. That's something. I know how to read them, but saying them is something I'm still working on here. So I appreciate you being here.
There's there are like levels, right? There's the I nobody ever told me how to pronounce it, and there's this, and then there's the our lore master will do the full, and I'll say Imrahil, he'll say Imrahil,
Nice.
which is how we have our voice actors do it, but I'm not going to bog everybody down doing that on.
All right, now I'm going to head over to the Osgiliath camp. Or did we already do that?
Nope,
section?
that's great. This is going to be a great. This is following the march, and we're going to get to see some of the cool stuff we've been working on.
Just for screenshot purposes, I like to take off the UI.
A little view into what's going on under the hood here. We actually copied basically the entire world into a new level, a little bit like Isengard and Flooded Isengard in Days of Lotro Past. So we're going back through a new Pelennor, a new copy of Pelennor, and a new copy of everything, and it allowed us to show the ravages of the battle and the emptied out Osgiliath. Here, this is the camp that the Aragorn's marching army has set up. And if we're sure that we're going east, then...
Am I sure? Am I going east? No, I am going the other way.
Yeah. So we can do a little tour of the camp, but this is this is the direction. Did we? Yeah. So we get to go through the crossroads we went before, but this time we'll be turning north, and there's a whole new sort of copy of the world that we've created, and we're paving our way again. I will not get tired of saying towards Mordor. We are super excited.
You know, that is a question
Mordor.
I know we're going to be asked in Q&A, so why don't we take care of that right now early on here? What can we say about Mordor at this point? That's probably a you question. Yep. We're going to Mordor, but we're not really saying much else. That's
Right.
probably
Well,
the long and
first-
short of it, right?
I apologize for holding up the mic. Our mic stand broke, so if it looks like I'm singing karaoke, I'm really not. For Mordor, we're definitely excited about visiting Mordor in an expansion, and we're hoping to really start talking about that with our anniversary, so that to build up excitement, and we're hoping the players are as excited as we are to do that. Right now, we're working towards, as you said previously, the Battle of the Black Gate, but first, to do that, we have to make sure that the armies get through Northern Ithilien without falling to despair, would you say?
Yes. Yeah,
So
they've got to keep their chins
There's a lot
up.
you can do to help that process happen in the game. Also,
I should be able to get past this, right?
right, and
As an admin?
the anniversary's in
Yeah.
April. Mordor will be sometime after that.
Okay. There we go. Well, I guess that's what we're going to really be able to show you here right now, just kind of due to the state of my admin character.
Can you jump
yeah.
to the next spot?
Yeah,
or-
but before I do that, I did
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about our Flora system. I know that that's something new for Update 19 here. What's kind of the basic overview? What do people need to know about Flora?
Okay, so this was sort of born out of the fact that Tolkien writes that there was the Nithilien was once the Garden of Gondor, and there are untold plants with medicinal and other properties. So what players can do is basically gather flora or plants of different varieties, and it's to help the herbalists of Minas Tirith, and they'll be manufacturing salves and other medicines for the wounded soldiers. But from the player's side, this is basically what you're going to want to do to barter for a lot of really nice things. And it's a system that we're planning to basically, we're introducing it with 19, and we're planning to support it straight through into the expansion, where the list of things that you can gather, and then also, more importantly, the list of things you can barter for is going to continue to grow and remain useful.
From a artist standpoint, this is probably the closest wilderness area to Mordor that has a large amount of influence. So people can't really live here. So it's beautiful and dangerous at the same time. And as you move into Daggerlad, where you see like the slag has basically ruined everything, and then move into Mordor. Although Mordor does have its interesting areas, this is really the last place where you'll see and be able to take in a lot of the flora and fauna of sort of Middle Earth before you move on to more dangerous things.
Cool. All right. We have a lot of questions in chat here about other various locations and plans. Any thought about Central Gondor I see in here. I see a question about, what about after Mordor, things like that. I don't think we're really in a position to talk too much about that stuff at this point, but do you have any thoughts on, say, going to Central Gondor or any of that kind of thing?
Central Gondor, you mean sort of the chunk that we skipped in our path to the.
I'm assuming so. Yeah.
That is available to us in the future. I mean, I think we've said this in interviews and articles before, but so we're getting to Mordor soon, and major events in the story are going to come up, and we are not even close to done with ideas for places we can go and things we can do after there. We're going to be. It's actually going to be harder to decide what to do because there's so many good ones, and we no longer have the simple plot of the book to guide us. The book isn't even over after we get to Mordor. There's still stories to tell. I'm sure some of you are saying scouring, and some of the other things that happen. But it's wide open, and we're gonna be choosing from them.
Yeah.
Central Gondor is definitely on that list of possibilities.
When there is still a lot happening, even in the future, because in the wake of the story, there's still a lot of evil in the world that's left
Yeah.
untended, I would say.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that the players will have to do to prevent all of the hard work of the ongoing story from being undone.
All right, I've ported us around just a little bit to our next location here, and if I recall correctly, this is the camp of the host.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is now we're just jumping around. This has kind of a great view. This is this is sort of the far end, where the host arrives and gets a great view of the lands beyond, which is Daggerlad. So if you look out there, behind us is lush forest. Ahead is sort of the barren, uglier country of Daggerlad. Let's say more forbidding. That sounds more poetical than ugly. And this is another one of the army camps that we've become very good at building over the last couple updates as we've been marching armies across the earth, across Middle Earth. So yeah, this is kind of like the last moment, and then we march on the Black Gate. Cool. In the next update. I think something that players are going to want to see after we've had a nice tour of this is Henneth Anun, which is sort of as I mentioned before, one of the key points, key cool looking points in the update, and we're actually.
Do we want to spoil that?
There's a good question. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, in general, I try to be fairly spoiler light on this sort of thing, but provided we're not giving out any, say, end of the book sort of stuff, it's probably okay.
Yeah, this is smack in the middle, and I think there are going to be some story moments that we're not going to cover today. So there's plenty that you won't have seen.
Okay, and you said would that be Shadow North Ithilien memory too?
It probably has Henneth Anun in the name somewhere.
Okay. Oh, okay. No, we already saw this section here.
Yeah. So if you turn around, if you run into the cave, this is the so this is the secret ranger hideout, and we took a lot of care to build this so that it A, fit the descriptions of the book, and B, felt correct.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm having some minor issues. I think we've got a slight.
It's like a server issue.
Yeah, I think so with our Bullroar server right now. I'm getting a little bit of kind of hopping. So.
Okay. Well, when I get back to my desk, I'll make sure that
maybe we'll have to go somewhere
else.
All
well and good in the content. Yeah.
All right. So let me go to switch gears here. I guess, is there anything else we'd like to say about the book content here? We mentioned the Flora barter system. We do have a dev diary coming up about what we're going to talk about next here. So why don't I actually go to that? But anything else you want to add about this this book chapter? I know some folks have been asking how much. I spoke with Quartermaster U. We're looking at 795 turbine points for free VIP, not non-VIPs who need to purchase the pack. So that'll be available there. right, where we are now is a housing broker. We actually just call one up here, because why not?
I think... Oh,
Yeah,
you
got a
got
wrong
that. Okay, you
tilt
can do
to.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
That might be right. I think if you turned around...
Yeah.
But if you've got the...
Yeah, I'll just
You'll
create
see, you'll see a horse standing in a corner and a woman next to it, but
Yep.
if you've got another way of doing it,
Yes.
that's great. That poor statue.
Hello.
There she is.
All right, so we have got premium housing coming in update 19.
Yeah.
What kind of large scale, kind of big picture, how do we describe premium housing?
Wow. So we're really excited about this. These are first of all, we found this gorgeous section of Belfalas, basically by the Bay of Belfalas. So we've created a seaside housing community, and we decided that it was really time to sort of like go all out, and we basically doubled the size or more of everything we can imagine for housing. So interior hook points, exterior hook points, general space, everything is doubled or more.
Cool.
And it's nighttime now, but you know, we felt narratively like this is sort of a moment to get away and just sort of like enjoy sunny skies and the sound of the sea for players who are with us on the journey. And it's also
Oops, I think it's because I got the wrong. There we go.
there is something very peculiar about your admin character.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? We got like ethereal on or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
It's no working. All right, well, I guess I could see what's up.
So, because we wanted to make this as available to players as possible, we designed the technology so that you could buy these new houses on top of your old ones. You get to keep your classic housing. You can buy another premium house. If you've got some cash burning a hole in your pocket, you can buy two, and you've got more housing decorations than you know what to do with. We're excited to be able to go in and, you know, do all kinds of fun things with all the housing items that we've collected over the years. And, you know, our feeling is that the old houses were a lot of fun, but were probably a little limiting just in terms of player decoration and role-playing possibilities. We're super happy with the space. We think that it's really pretty and really different from the old stuff.
We picked up a different house that we wanted to show off here as well. Sorry, I'm not able to really quite show you what we wanted to show you here. I've got some kind of thing going on. So
I think you jinxed yourself by starting out saying you hoped that you weren't gonna have anything break, and then
yeah, there we go. Exactly right. All right, so this would be one of the other houses available. This is.
You're hitting a lot of.
Yeah, I am hitting a lot of.
Don't know what that means.
I'm not quite sure what that means either. But this will be available with update 19. We've had a lot of questions about pricing and upkeep and all the rest. They will be available. Premium housing is available for Mithril coin. Upkeep is available for gold or Mithril coin, depending on what you prefer. Like I say, premium housing works in conjunction with your regular classic housing, so you can still have both.
All right.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to call that done then, because it's just not playing nice.
We have decided to surprise players.
Yeah.
With the magnificent housing, rather than show that
Right.
off. We won't spoil housing to you. That's what we're going to say.
Trust us, it's beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's too bad. We'll say that we do have a dev diary actually being published. If not Monday, then maybe even Friday
right.
if I can get it out.
So what we weren't able to show off today, you'll be able
Yeah.
to read all about, and we'll have pretty pictures in there to show off some of the things that we weren't able to show off before.
All right. So now that we've kind of shown off a few things here, let me switch on over to this and start doing some Q&A, so we can actually get
Yeah, I've been sort of like
deep
reading
diving
chat
into your
as we go on.
questions. Will there be any creep changes in Update 19 or in the near future to creep damage scaling?
Yes.
I can answer that question, I guess. Because I've been talking to you guys about it, we do have plans to focus on PvP balance. We don't have an exact time frame to announce on that. We basically have a list of things that we're hoping to do for the next update, and as we get to those things and get them ready for release, we'll be releasing them. So I don't want to promise, say, a specific point update or anything like that for it, but it is something that we are hoping to look into in the near future. Expansion when? Stay tuned.
Right. So basically, we'll have our anniversary, and then after that, we'll be working on towards Mordor.
Any new trait points or new trait/skills coming?
Not in the near future. We will continue to look to the forums for feedback on things that we want, and more voices means more attention from us.
We better have Shiloh coming.
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm saying. But we want to make sure that we do it ultra cool. So
Yeah,
we're gonna wait on Shiloh until we have the time to really give that content the attention it deserves.
Nice. All right. How about... Got a question on jewelry. Can you please tell us more about Update 19 jewelry, if they will be available to barter? Does anyone...
Oh,
I don't know the answer
wow.
to that one. I'm sorry.
I think you might have caught us flat-footed on that one. I know that there is some jewelry, and I know that there will probably be some more coming in near future content, but I didn't take notes on exactly how we had done that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. That's sort of the nature of taking questions from chat. Sometimes we have the
Yep.
answer, sometimes we will need to look up the answer and get back to you. So, with the Riders of Rohan expansion, there was an outfit for both your character and your horse. Will we see anything like that for Gondor?
So I assume this is like complementary rider, and
Yeah.
we will add that to our list of ideas for the future.
Yep. I don't know about the Bjorn question. I can say in general, though, that we have been hearing from the community both about our start of work on Hunter and Burglar in Update 19, and that has brought a lot of other people saying, hey, can you also do this one, this one, this one, this one? In particular, we've been hearing some stuff from our Bjorning players, again, from our creeps on the PvP side, that sort of thing. So we did some changes to Hunter and Burglar, largely focused, if I am speaking correctly, on DPS. And we're looking at further adjustments we may be able to make in the relatively near future here. And what about Bjorning in general? That's something we're going to have to carve out some time and stick a dev on to really tackle here at some point.
Balance passes are like the Pandora's box of design, because you're never done, because once you start touching classes, everyone has their own favorite character, and they're like, well, what about me, and can you do us next? So we're going to make small but meaningful improvements, and then move slowly through as we look at things. Right now, player feedback was that Burglar and Hunter were definitely behind the most,
Yeah.
and so that we gave some love to that. I'm not saying that it's a full pass, because that wasn't our goal. Our goal was to make meaningful changes that improve their experience.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for.
In regard to Bjorning as well, I know that it's going to be a combination of probably some class balance work in addition to some bug fixing. Some people on the forums have put together some good lists for us to take a look at when it comes time to fixing some of the Bjorning bugs and working on class balance there. That clearly is going to be a larger project than we had a scope for in terms of the Hunter DPS changes and such for U19. So that's something we're going to have to carve out some specific time to hopefully address in the future here. Will there be enough houses for everyone? The last thing we need is a land rush. There is a limited supply of houses, but my understanding is that is something we can expand on in the future as demand requires.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes and yes. There will be enough houses, and there may well also be some people kind of rushing to get their houses. Will housing continually be supported with various housing items? I'm going to imagine a lot. I'm going to speak for Quartermaster here a little bit, that I would imagine some of this depends on the popularity of our premium housing, see how well you guys like it, guys and gals like it. If you like it and you want a lot more of it, then that's presumably something we would prioritize here as we roll this thing out and update it in the future.
We've definitely been talking about whether the players would enjoy having housing items as rewards for festivals or rewards for doing landscape content or even rewards for dungeons or raids, but we just want to make sure that someone doesn't do one of those things expecting another kind of reward and then get something housing when they're not that into it. So we want it as sort of like a bonus.
Yeah.
I don't know the question from Tellurian 1003 here. Are kins counted as players so kins could have multiple kin houses?
No, unfortunately, that'll be one kin house in Belfast, partly for technical reasons and partly because that seemed like the better design decision from our perspective. Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping people from having personal houses kind of
Yeah.
along that line.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
So you could go in theoretically and pick up your kin house and then try to get as much of the land around it as you want.
Yeah, exactly,
so.
right. Yeah, and to be fair, the personal houses are outmatch the old kin houses. So, yeah.
What about traveling into instances from premium housing? How's kind of traveling to it from it work?
It should work just as well as it has always worked for classic housing, with one exception. We made the travel to cooldown on the premium housing smaller because there were the possibility for multiple houses. So there will be less of a cooldown for returning.
A couple of questions good about one from Temair. Will the Bjorning get an upgrade so they're important for PvE too? Yeah, I think the intention were we to, when we focus on Bjorning would be to try to address some of the community concerns both in regard to PvE and other forms of content as well. Like I said, no promises on anything at this point, but it is absolutely something that we're aware you guys would like us to prioritize, and hopefully that's something we can fit into our schedule here in the coming updates. I'm just kind of going through the chat room here.
No flying mounts.
No flying mounts. There you go.
So we'll put that down.
Lifetime accounts buyable during anniversary? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. What about other premium housing available in other areas like Miriam, Mirkwood, Rohand, and Lothlorien?
It's expensive, so if it's popular, sure. But it takes a long time to make them. It takes a lot of art resources to make them, so it will all be a balancing fact.
We have a bunch of questions kind of about pricing and premium housing. What you see on Bull Roar is what we are launching with here with Update 19.
Yeah.
We feel pretty good about our pricing model for premium housing, particularly now that we've made adjustments to allow for gold upkeep. And so that all does play into it. But ultimately, this is a commercial thing that could be adjusted based on player demand. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, we're pretty happy with where it sits right now.
We're currently working on lag. We have engineers on it. We're specifically looking at boss lag, so we are working on that. If you see lag that isn't related to sort of group content bosses, then any kind of video or information specifically on them would be good. We know that there is an issue with Minas Tirith where it takes up so much memory that some players have problems, and we've implemented ways to get around, to sort of go around it so you don't have to go pass through that area every time. So yeah, lag is up there in priority, and as we get sort of definitive examples of it, we are certainly working on it.
What about the old character transfer tokens? I see a couple of questions about that. So our plan for the character transfer tokens is we will be, if not for Update 19, some update fairly soon afterwards. I'm not quite sure what the our current dating plan is on that. But we will be making these. We basically bring back your free character transfer tokens, make them available as a parallel system, and we're going to make them available through the end of the year. So you'll have time
Right.
to use up those character transfer tokens that you currently have to get the characters transferred you want. And then at the end of the year, we can't really support two separate systems for this, including the fact that the old character transfer system uses some kind of account-related things that we're basically looking to deprecate. So we are going to have a period through the end of the year where you can use that stuff, and then it's going to be deprecated as we want. I can't remember if we're planning that day and date on U19. It's basically when it's ready to go. I think we'll have to stay tuned on that.
Yeah.
Early next week, unless
Yeah.
we run into something, in which case everyone will be mad at me because I said early next week.
Yeah,
and
right.
later.
Can you purchase the admin panel? No. That would be awesome, though, right? Yeah. What is the priority on things like hunter and burglar skills? I think from Bloodborne, hey Bloodborne, I think that is something we plan to prioritize, hopefully within the next couple of point updates regarding some of the additional hunter and burglar changes, but no promises, as we need to essentially do some work and then see if we can fit it into those next updates.
Our first priority was DPS because we just
Yeah.
felt that was what needed to be addressed first. So we're going to review all the feedback we got from Bull Roar, and you could definitely see some more changes coming soon.
Our main goal is that we don't want any class to be seen as a liability in group content. So as we put in the new Kick-Ass raid and we do other group content, we want people to feel free to pull in these characters.
I see a question about crafting. I did talk to a couple people this morning a little bit about that. We're hoping to perhaps look at crafting in 2017, but again, it's just like everything else going to have to fit into that.
The crafting is
sort of
definitely
chamber.
something that's
Yeah.
on our radar as
Yeah.
as needing addressing, but we're not ready to talk about what crafting updates are going to look like just yet.
Please answer this. And Zarian says, any chance we can get alternate ways of acquiring trait points rather than having to do Western Rohand or Moria on every character?
Yeah, so we're aware that it can be painful to, let's say, excavate some of the trait points you can get from that region of the game. It's been on our radar. Basically, we're looking for the right moment, because it's like, it's the answer to that problem lies at the bottom of some box. So we have to be ready to open that can of worms, basically, at the point that we're going to tackle that. That is definitely on our radar as a thing that we're looking for the right opportunity to address.
Oh My Desolator says, are we going to be able to transfer from North America to EU and vice versa? My understanding is no.
It's technically not
yeah.
possible, unfortunately.
Yeah, sorry about that, but no. What are the chances of getting more goats? I am pro goat.
I like goats.
I like goats. Yeah. Perhaps.
Keep in mind that as we move, what we want to accomplish for Mordor is large. So I appreciate patience on some of the sort of myriad of stuff, because as we move the team towards working on that, we're going to have to do a lot of work to execute on the scope and coolness that we want from Mordor. So as we lead in and keep up the cadence of cool content leading up to it. So there may be some things that we don't get to as much as you'd like to, but just keep in mind that we are moving towards that.
We love in-game trailers, Kella D-Liar, or Deer, I think, says. I know we've got at least one, because there's that one that was on YouTube,
too.
right?
Yeah, we like them too.
So, there we go. So I would say the odds are pretty good that we'll be seeing more in-game trailers here in the future. Any love for a Mac client? I don't know of any plans to further update the Mac client. We already answered the lifetime sub question. Any chance you could open free transfer for one more week? Just in case you didn't hear, we are bringing the transfer token system back for a while. in the near future, and that's going to run through the end of the year. So when you say, can we have it for a week? No, you can have it for more than a week through the end of the year. And that'll be something we'll announce in social media and on the forums here soon as we get close to it. We have a lot of questions
So one
here.
of the things we
so
don't
I
want to
know.
do is
Yeah.
we never want to force people to do PvP, so we wouldn't take our normal content areas and make them PvP because there are people who just they're not that excited about PvP and they wouldn't want to be forced to do it.
What about mounted combat? I mean, I know that when we're looking at, say, the Battle of the Black Gate and that, I'm not quite sure if that fits with mounted combat so much. But.
It's possible, but it's not likely that mounted combat is going to be a major focus for a while, for the coming year or so. It's it was obviously the right thing to do for Rohan, but we feel that right now we've got other fish to fry, and that's going to be hanging out there, but not our primary focus.
Someone who claims to be my grandfather with a username of I am your grandpa says, could you please tell us some more about the Flora bartering system? Where do I get it? Is it in a private instance?
No, so it's all throughout North Ithilien. Sorry, we should have led through that. As you travel through North Ithilien, everywhere you go, you will find some plants to gather, and I can break this to delve a little into systems now. You'll find a number of named plants to gather. When you gather them, they will yield what are basically one of 5 colored components, and you'll trade different quantities of the components to the herbalists of Minas Tirith for different items. So this is a barter system that basically, as soon as you get into this section of the game, you can begin collecting right away. We'll have a couple of quests that will let you gather some more, and by the time you reach the end, you'll have enough that you'll be able to start cashing in for prizes.
So let me preface my response to an upcoming question here by saying, when we do these kind of chats, we understand we get a lot of, hey, can you use, wish list type items, but ultimately you're probably going to hear a lot more no's than yeses on that sort of thing, because we only have so much development time for the near future that we have dedicated. We already know what we're going to do, right? So I don't want to sound like a generic kind of PR hack or whatever by saying, well, we'll look into it, but a lot of these questions are maybe, but we can't really promise anything at this point. So for, say, things like could we have some additional PvP arenas? No immediate plans for that. I know there was a question here as well about further kinship work, like maybe you could have kinship alliances with other kins, various things like that. It was pointed out to LOTRO on Twitter recently, a big thread about, what kinship updates we could do in the future. We don't have any immediate plans to target kinship updates in 2017, but clearly there's at least some interest out there for us to do that. So it's something we'll have to look at perhaps in the future. Any chance of being able to turn off character speaking text being dramatized sequences like the Ride of the Rohirrim?
Turn off this
Character speaking text.
Is the text over their heads? I'm pretty sure that the normal command, so billboards show up. I don't think there's a way to turn that off, but the text that appears over the NPC's heads, I'm pretty sure it turns on and off normally, just like you can in general.
What about the Lonely Mountain, North Mirkwood?
As a place to go?
Mm-hmm.
That's a place we could go in the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
What?
There are some exciting things that happen there right around after events in Mordor.
Lonely Mountain, that will never happen.
RP question, will we ever be able to have our weapons drawn outside of combat? Seems like something we could theoretically do.
That's something. Yeah, that we should add that. That's a good note to take for possibilities. Yeah.
All right. We've got a couple more minutes here for your questions before we wrap things up, but let me give you guys an opportunity to ask away. By the way, I really appreciate all the hundreds of you who are here in chat today. It's lovely to see such a large crowd for our
Absolutely.
Update 19 thing. I think that probably bodes well for our planning to do this sort of thing in the future. This is our first go at it, with me doing it. So we're going to be learning a few things from this chat and hopefully making it even more useful to you in the near future.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat go by, like mesmerized by it.
Yeah,
so I
it's-
probably end up looking like a zombie.
Yeah,
So
we've
I'm like,
topped
oh, yeah,
we
yeah.
topped 400 here, so not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stow and wield weapons at will. Do I have new music for the new areas? No, my understanding is we're using existing music for the new areas. Is that right? Or- no, we have new music.
Yeah, and in fact, there's even a new music box for the Bay of Belfast.
Okay.
So if you want to get into a complete seaside mood, we've released some. You can get hold of a music box for that too.
I see a
Very
question
relaxing.
in chat that is kind of a modern MMO question. What about one mega server? You know, kind of make all the servers turn into one gigantic mega server robot.
We did look into
Yeah.
doing that for our tech, but we ran into a problem because of our tech. It relies on a master server to watch everything, and so even though we can stack instancing, there comes a point where the master server can't keep up. So we can't do a mega server with our current tech, and it would be a massive rewriting of the tech in order to do that.
For what it's worth, we actually do see some value also in having servers with flavors to them, like Landreval and some of the others, and you know that sense of identity is actually a nice thing to have, and it might be worth having things configured the way they are.
I saw a question here. This has come up a couple of times, so let me see if we can get an answer. I don't personally know the answer. Can I enter an instance if I'm in my new premium house? I'm sorry, I don't know. I'll have to actually.
I
check
would
that out.
I would have sworn you could, but
Yeah.
I couldn't quite swear to it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty. If you could in your old housing, then you should be able to in your new housing.
Okay.
Someone keeps asking about balance, but I'm not exactly sure what they're referring to. So I apologize if we're not answering your question.
I think in general we're looking at probably one of two things. That would be PvP balance
Yeah.
On the one hand, and then further questions about our class balance on the other. For class balance, we did talk about that. You know, we did. I think in the past, maybe there was an assumption on the part of the community that we were kind of one and done on our class passes. This is the Hunter update, and we shall never speak of Hunter again. But that's not really the way we're doing this going forward. I don't even know if that was true in the past, but that certainly isn't going to be the case going forward here. What we're planning to do is do class updates as we can, fit it into our schedule, as we can prioritize. We know that there's some interest in doing that. So as we can do that in coming updates, you know, we'll be doing general class balance work, I think, throughout 2017. It's just a matter of when exactly is X going to be able to do Y.
Right.
It's a little too granular to get into at this point, but
Yeah.
we do absolutely plan to do further updates to Hunter and
And any other class.
Yeah, all the other
You know,
classes.
but really what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where our work is going to do the most good, where it's most needed, and we're going to focus there first.
yeah.
There was somebody wanted to know if Made of Lions was going to do more bingo content, and it flew by too fast. But we are keeping Made of Lions very busy right now. But all of our spare cycles are going towards figuring out how to make the expansion more awesome. So we won't see anything sort of separated and free floating like bingo until after that for sure.
Okay.
I do like when we said no to the flying with Griffin, that they're asking now for flying with dragons.
Yeah, you got to go through all the
No
mythic
wasn't
animals.
really towards the Griffin part.
Yeah.
It was more towards the flying.
Wait, has nobody asked for eagles?
Yes,
I
that's
would
what I
have
was
thought that
saying.
eagles
Rather-
would have been
I
the
mean,
yeah.
you know.
They'd
Yeah.
be like, well, lore.
Yeah.
You should do that. And you're like,
Eagles would make more sense than dragons.
Right.
So, yeah. What about slotted armor, more accessible for earlier levels? This has come up a couple of times. Someone wants to know. We right now have slotted armor for presumably higher levels. They're looking to make stuff for, say, levels 50 to 85. The supply is just really low.
The reason we don't do that is because at this point the players move through those zones really quick, and so spending a lot of time doing upgradable armor in that time when players a lot of time don't engage in that kind of content if they feel that they're just trying to level through it. So that's one of the reasons that we don't go back and add a rich itemization to previous levels.
I've seen a couple of questions here as well about... Shoot, now I can't find it. It's scrolling so quick. Oh, live events. A bunch of people are asking about live events. Are we going to do live events? That is... We don't have any, say, concrete development time set aside for a large live event, but I would certainly expect that for our 10th anniversary, at the very least, I'm going to be in the game worlds doing some kind of event-related things, and I would not be surprised if other folks joined me as well. So, I'd say that's likely. But one of the things I do want to do short-term is further support your live events. If you go to, say, LOTROartist.com, there's a ton of concerts going on. If you go to LOTRO Players News, you can see a full events calendar of role-playing events and any other kind of events. And I want to make sure that we are getting the word out as much as we can about that sort of thing. So I do think in the relatively near future, you're going to see further work on my part to really spread the word about all the events that are already going on in Lord of the Rings Online here. All right, we have just a couple more minutes, and then we're going to wrap things up, so let's get a couple of those questions in.
Yeah.
Exterior housing hooks have tech issues because you're not really in your housing place yet.
Was there a question there? Or?
Yeah, someone asked, would you have plans for exterior housing hooks?
That's the well. So there are plans for them. There are exterior housing hooks for every house. The numbers, I would try to quote the numbers, but I get them wrong, so you should wait for the dev diary, and you'll see the numbers on all the...
Oh, you mean within the space outside?
Yeah, around your house. Yeah, outside around your house there.
I misunderstood. Sorry.
I think you answered this to some extent earlier, Sev, but further question about what about lag? I know for a fact that we are working to reduce lag because I can say the name of the guy who's currently working on it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we did start talking about that. The more information you give us, the more likely we are to sort of go through. One of the difficulties is a lot of people attribute a lot of stuff to lag, and the people are saying they can't hear me.
Yeah, they can hear you. It was just maybe for that one section they couldn't.
So the more we can get information on specific stuff of lag, the better we can fix it. So right now we're working on lag with bosses, and we are working on looking for other specific things. So like, if you can describe what you were doing when there was lag, or have some sort of, stream that we can watch, or that way we can go into it. But lag is a high priority for us. So it's just sometimes difficult. Is it client lag? Is it a lag because the internet is being crappy that night? Is it lag revolving around this boss bug where the players who are selected on the boss lag? So yeah, we definitely want to do lag. That's a top priority for us. We just need to have a good dialogue about what is actually happening that's causing the players to see delays.
I've seen one person repeatedly ask a question about our T2 Throne of the Dread Terror raid. All I can really say about, granular things of will we fix a certain ability to do a certain thing differently in that raid is that something we will have to set aside some time perhaps to look at in the future. I don't know the answer to your specific question, so sorry, that's why I'm not answering it. All right. That sounds good. Let's wrap things up. Thank you very much for joining us here for Update 19 live stream preview on twitch.tv/LOTROstream and youtube.com/LordOfTheRings/live. Please give us a follow on Twitch. That'll let you be notified for when we go live with shows just like this one. We also have a full schedule on our Twitch page if you want to see when any of our fine streamers are streaming on LOTROstream. We also do archive these both on Twitch and on YouTube, so if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you can get our videos on your subscription feed. You can also subscribe to individual shows, just previews, just things like this, or the whole shebang. Whatever it is you want to sign up for LOTRO on YouTube, you can get that stuff in your subscription feed. Dr. Octothorpe,
thanks,
Severlin,
everyone.
thank you very much for joining me on our Update 19 preview here.
Awesome, thanks.